Hi, and welcome to my 7th game in the Norwegian Chess Championship 2010. I am playing against Fredrik Heggelund from Mo Chess Club, and he has a rating of 1191. I have been analyzing my games with international chess master Torstein Bae, and he has been telling me that I gotta start putting my light squared bishop outside my pawn chain and not block it in, because usually I put it on e2 and block it behind my pawns. This time it's on c4 outside my pawn chain. And even though he has a FIDE rating of 2400 and I don't even have a rating yet, I'm not easily convinced. Now we are in game 7 and I do eventually listen to him, and as a demonstration, that bishop move to c4 came on move 2. I kind of figured that his next move would be to place his pawn here on d5, and I believe the reason for it is after some of the pieces here are exchanged, he'll have his bishop here on b7 pointing directly towards my king side and my knight on f3, and if that knight doesn't have a protection of some kind from one of my pieces here, I'll have to take with my pawn and break up my castle position. I see no reason not to trade off some of the pieces here. What might have come as a surprise was that he exchanged his bishop for my knight here. And I don't want to trade my bishop here for his knight, and at the same time I don't want him to trade his knight for my bishop here on c3, so I have to move it. Now, part of this game is just positioning. I want to keep my bishop pair, and at the same time I want to be a little more aggressive. Right now placing my knight here on e5, which is a good outpost. And I see that his knight now might come to f5 and chase my bishop again. So what I'm doing is I'm making room for it back on the e5. Now, during this positioning, I have been just trying to keep my bishop pair and have no real plan of attack. While he has been chasing my bishops with his knights, he has maneuvered them in such a way that he actually is very close to mating attacks. Now, this position is actually a little tricky, because if I now move my pawn to h3, it should actually dislodge his knight here on g4, because he can't come here with his queen and put me in mate anyway on h2, because I have a knight here protecting that square. But all he has to do is bishop takes f3 now, and now there's no knight protecting h2. And whether I take his bishop here with my queen on d1 or my pawn on g2, that's still a checkmate with his queen here on h2. And if I decide to take his knight here with my pawn, then he'll use his bishop here and take my queen. So I'm not really in such a good position here. So the best move I find is to put my pawn here on g3, which again gives me a threat here. And right now he has two pieces on my knight here on f3, because what I'm seeing here is, with his knights placed as they are, knight check, he has my queen, my rook, and my king here. And if I take it, well, here comes the next knight, and I'm a queen down. Now that's not good. And I really wish Mr. 2400 was here right now, and I could tell him, you see this bishop here on the outside of the pawn chain? If this bishop was blocked in like I always have it, then I wouldn't be in such problem. But he's not there, and I know that this bishop is correctly placed. So I'll just have to get out of this differently. And I do find a solution. Pawn to h3. I am chasing his knight, possibly knights away, and if he wants an attack, then he'll gain a pawn But he does go for the main attack anyway. But this time my king is not on g2. I take, he takes, and I place my queen here on e2. And I believe what he wasn't really realizing here was that this knight, which is threatened, is now protected by this rook. Before there was a pawn here which is not there anymore. So there's direct connection between these two pieces. But at the same time, I cannot move this knight anywhere, because if I do, then with a queen and a bishop here and a queen here, there's always a possibility for a check and sooner or later a checkmate coming. So I have to be very careful. He takes my rook, and right now I'm up a piece, but he has a rook more than me, and in the endgame that could actually become decisive. Now he's looking at this pawn here on g3, but I'm looking to trade queens. And what better way to trade queens than move queen to e5? If he doesn't trade queens now, or he backs off, I have a checkmate right here. And this move was a little difficult for me to do, because if he trades, then I am giving him this opened file, which he can most likely use for 1 and 2 rooks, and he'll dominate that. So I have to thread very carefully when I'm opening a file for him in this position. And right now I have blocked off, so he cannot come into my position with his rook. At the same time, I still have these two bishops pointing towards his castle position. And he's looking at this pawn over here. But I have learned one thing now, and that is you can't always think about what your opponent does. I mean, it's a good trait to have, but you got to continue with your own plans also. And now I do have a plan. Now in this position I'm threatening this f7 pawn with a bishop here, a knight here, and a rook here. And I'm not sure, but I do believe his best move now would be pawn to f5. As far as I can see, my attack is no longer there, and I'll protect my a2 pawn, but we'll have to go about it differently. But he doesn't do that. What he does is he tries to dislodge my knight by his move with the pawn to h6, and this time I am a little bit more aggressive, so I take on f7, and at the same time I threaten his rook here. And now also is one of those moments where I probably would have backed off a little bit, but I go in with more pieces here. I protect my knight with my bishop, because I believe this knight might become very valuable for me. And he takes my pawn here. Now usually that would have been okay. All I'd have to do is just place my pawn here like this, and he couldn't get anywhere. He'd have to trade his bishop for one more of my pawns, but as long as he doesn't want to do that, his bishop would be stuck down here and out of the game. But in this position I cannot do that, because this b3 pawn, which was on b2, was actually protecting my bishop here on c3, which means his next move would be to capture it with his rook. So this is out of the question. But the move I have is bishop to b4, and right now his rook here cannot escape. And if he tries to escape, then I just fork his rooks. So he gets his bishop out of harm's way, and at the same time threaten my rook. I just move my rook to f2, and if need be, this pawn now is protected. And this move he makes here with his pawn to e5, I'm not really sure. He is running out of time. He doesn't have that many minutes left. I am threatening his bishop here, and I hope he'll move the bishop and not exchange rooks. And he's looking at my pawn here on h3 and not seeing the real danger, which is bishop h7 check. He has to move his king, and I get his rook here, and He decides enough is enough, and I win the game.